The Prime Minister challenging the business community to help develop the national economy.
Plus, a young man arraigned for murder in court today.
Fire completely guts a funeral home. We'll tell you more about it in the Bahamas tonight.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
A clarion call for the local business community to play a greater role in the revitalization of the economy and the progression of the nation. Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles.
And good evening, I'm LaDawn Davis. This from Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie as he officially opened the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation two-day national conclave at the Breezes Super Club's resort.
Speaking to a wide cross-section of noted businesses throughout the archipelago, the nation's leader says partnerships with the government will be vital and beneficial. Clint Watson has tonight's top story.
The Chamber of Commerce must know that it has a stake in the governance of the country.
Minister of Finance, Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie expects that with the myriad of investments on tap for the country, the national business community stands to benefit from the government's endorsement of public-private partnership. The Prime Minister even extended an invitation for chambers nationwide to play a greater role in the expansion and development of the economy.
It will be of utmost importance that the government and the private sector pursue the dialogue and collaborate closely in the development of future joint initiatives, as the President, Chair of the Chamber has just said, but in future initiatives for their mutual benefit and that of society more generally. I take this opportunity to invite the business community to seize the initiative and come forward to the government with proposals for public-private sector partnerships and not wait for the government to initiate the process. The growth of our economy and the provision of services are as much the responsibility of the private sector as that of the government.
Prime Minister Christie added that public-private partnership is the right model for the archipelago's development. He confirmed that several avenues will solidify a future partnership.
One generally finds these in relation to transport infrastructure, such as roads, bridges, seaports, airports, public bus systems and ferries, as well as electricity generation and distribution, water distribution and sewage, telecommunications networks. In addition, one also finds PPPs in the area of public structures from which government services are provided, such as hospitals, schools, and offices.
Further, Mr. Christie also stipulated the need for more effective networking between foreign investors and the local business community. Chairman of the Chamber and Employees Confederation, Chester Cooper, revealed that at the end of the forum, they'll present a position to government and the business community regarding issues facing the sector. But he did note that despite the discussion in the media, the business community supports tax reform.
We will pay our share to maintain the stability of our economy and the international ratings of our country. Let me also be clear that we also fully support and encourage the necessary fiscal reform on the expenditure side. We trust indeed that the partnership and the collaboration will continue and the dialogue will continue to be even more refined for the ultimate benefit of the nation that we all love.
Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
Officials at the Department of Statistics are reporting that the gross domestic product had a positive growth of 2.5% in current prices and 0.7% in constant prices for the period 2009 to 2013. According to figures released by the department, the growth at constant prices was due mainly to increases in the manufacturing, communication, insurance, public administration, and other indirect taxes and gross rent industries. In contrast, fisheries, banking, restaurants, hotels, shipping, and other community social and personal services declined, which mitigated the growth of inflation. Meanwhile, imports of goods and services at constant prices fell by 5.9% in 2013. The imports of goods, which usually represents 70+% of all imports, dropped by 10%. The report also points out that imports of services at current prices increased by 7%, led by imported construction services, which grew by 81%. The government expected to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce in an effort to provide a domestic arbitration center in the country. The center is expected to help settle local and international trade disputes.
Minister of Financial Services Ryan Pinder confirmed a concrete strategic plan for the center is expected to be in place by the end of the year. He also noted that the arbitration center will build on 3 pillars in arbitration, which includes financial and maritime services, while raising the profile of the Bahamas in the international trading community.
We believe we're positioned perfectly between the Americas, South America, Latin America, and North America, the United States, to be a source of arbitration for any disputes between businesses in those two countries. If I'm from Brazil and I'm trading with a company in Florida and I have a dispute, I'm not going to want to arbitrate in Florida. I think there's going to be a bias. The Florida company is not going to want to arbitrate in Brazil for the same reasons. Not familiar with the jurisdiction, maybe a bias, not familiar with the laws and procedures. Well, they could arbitrate in the Bahamas.
Minister Pinder indicated the government is continuing its accession to the World Trade Organization process. He noted that WTO membership is empowering for local businesses who want to participate in international trade. And regarding concerns that Grand Bahama may be disadvantaged because of its governing structure under the Grand Bahama Port Authority and because of its free trade zone status, Pinder said there is no cause for alarm.
We've done the research and we've done the analysis on that, and we're comfortable that the current regime which we have does not violate the rules. Certainly as a free trade zone, many WTO countries have free trade zones. I use the example of the United States. That seems to be creating a new free trade zone like every week, it would seem. But then we're also comfortable that the governance structure of the Grand Bahama Port Authority is not in violation of any rules for WTO membership.
A partnership between the Bahamas Institute of Financial Services and the University of the West Indies will lead to the establishment of the Caribbean Center of Excellence for Financial Services. Minister of Financial Services, the Honorable Ryan Pinder, made the announcement following the culmination of the 3-day Caribbean Conference on the international financial services sector today. According to Pinder, funding for the center will come from several sources, including the European Union, and confirmed that the agreement was fully endorsed by ministers attending the conference.
Based upon over 3 decades of experience in providing professional certification and expertise in the financial services sector, the Bahamas Institute of Financial Services is eminently placed to provide the level of international credibility to the center's offerings. This, in conjunction with the internationally recognized brand of the University of the West Indies, places the region in an extremely advantageous position to strengthen and advocate on behalf of a sector so critical to the region's overall economic development.
Now, Senior Fellow at the University of the West Indies, Dr. Don Marshall, highlighted the importance of this move to strengthen the financial services sector. He noted that up to this point, the university has not been sufficiently involved in providing institutional and research support into the activities of international financial centers, which have been underthought for far too long.
The University of West Indies is happy to embark on this project. Clearfield campus in particular is the point campus that is taking the lead in this direction. But understand that with the open campus, with the other 2 campuses, Mona, St. Augustine and Clearfield campus, and together with the online platforms that we have established in the last 2 years, we are just about fit for purpose and ready to assist with research, teaching, training, and so on in conjunction with our brothers and sisters across the region, including the Bahamas.
An early morning fire gutted Commonwealth Funeral Home on Independence Drive, reducing the establishment to charred remains. The damage is being estimated to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Our Jimmy Swain visited that scene hours after the blaze was extinguished and filed this report.
A partially melted sign, charred walls, and a hearse destroyed by fire were indications of the intensity of the fire, which reduced Commonwealth Funeral Home at Independence Drive to a shell Wednesday morning. When ZNS News arrived at the scene, the fire had long been put out. Anxious workers were milling about waiting for proprietor Matthew Sweeting. Sweeting, flanked by employees, says a phone call from a concerned client around 1:15 Wednesday morning alerted him to the blaze. He admitted the news was devastating.
At that time of the morning, he said my building was on fire, basically like that, and he told me, said that, it was already engulfed. I jumped about my bed, rushed down here, basically, and everything, and we secured and we salvaged some of the equipment in the back that could have been established. It's a blessing that the fire started from outside, because with all the chemicals we had, everything like that, it would have been detrimental.
Sweeting walked through the funeral home, surveying the damage sustained to coffins in the viewing area and the back room with his employees. He managed to save a body inside that was being prepared for burial.
We were dealing with a body at the time. I reached in time to secure that body out of my morgue. So I want to assure the family members and people that will be attending the funeral that all is well and this funeral will proceed as planned, and we are still operational.
The funeral home owner believes the blaze is a result of arson, although he has no idea who would have wanted to hurt his business. He begs the estimate of damages at around $300,000.
I know for a fact it's arson, because the sergeant from the fire branch said that the fire started outside in my garage. They got the call first that the hearse was on fire, and then afterwards 15 minutes they got another call, said that the building is on fire.
Police Fire Chief Superintendent Walter Evans confirmed the call about the fire was received at 1:57 a.m. and 2 trucks responded by 2:06. Evans said the building was engulfed in flames. The cause of the fire remains under active investigation. Meantime, Mr. Sweeting now has to focus on rebuilding after meeting with insurance officials.
Immediate next steps now, I'm gonna have a contractor come in and just analyze the damage, basically like that, and then I'll have a talk with my insurance company, and we'll take it from there.
Mr. Sweeting says while this is a setback, he will use it as an opportunity to come back bigger and better than ever. Jimmy Swain, ZNS Network News.
Shifting to news from Parliament, big changes ahead for local government in the country with today's tabling of amendments to the Local Government Act of 1996. Minister responsible for local government and Michael MP V. Alfred Gray presented the changes to the act that gives family islanders a say in their governance. Minister Gray announced in the House of Assembly today that first up, some name changes. No longer will the designations Deputy Administrator, Senior Administrator, and Administrator apply. From now on, there will be
Administrator 1, Administrator 2, Administrator 3, and Administrator 4. Those titles will be given to the administrators on their appointments, but they will all be called administrators. But there will be grades, just like customs officers, but their title will show either in their salary or in their letter of appointment. 1 being the highest, 4 being the lowest rank.
Also on tap are changes to what will constitute a quorum for council general meetings and a restoration of the post of Director of Local Government. This post was eliminated in the Act of 1996. However, Minister Gray assured that not only will it return, but a post of Deputy Director will also be created.
So I'm hoping, Mr. Speaker, that the first appointment, hopefully will be shortly, will be somebody out of the local government administration, somebody who is at the moment at the top of the administration. We call them administrators. I'm hoping I can persuade the government to make an appointment from one of those senior persons to become director and deputy director respectively. A quorum is made up of 50% or half plus 1. So where there is a council of 5, the quorum would be 3. Where there is a council of 7, a quorum would be 4.
Other proposed changes to the Local Government Act include, among other things, that candidates must be a resident of their district. A new level of appeals at the council level has been added. However, all appeals will continue to be heard by the minister responsible, and anyone sentenced by the court for 12 months or more will not be allowed to run for any local government office. Minister Gray also sent a stern warning to local government councillors who hire people.
And when we come back, 2 men caught red-handed with drugs. Hear how police nabbed them.
And we've got the results of a youth violence survey released this week. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.